Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into the chilling finale of the K-drama, S-Line. Imagine a world where every single sexual encounter you've ever had isn't just a memory, but a literal red line hovering above your head, visible to everyone. What would that do to society? Now, imagine that's just the tip of a terrifying, cult-like iceberg. S-Line started with this fascinating, almost voyeuristic premise, drawing us into the lives of people grappling with their secrets laid bare. We met Detective Han Jiuk, trying to make sense of this new reality. Eugene, the seemingly quirky high school teacher who was much more, and Hyenhob, a high school student born with the extraordinary, and often isolating, ability to see these lines from birth. The show built a world where privacy was non-existent, and judgment was swift. But by the final episode, it twisted into something far darker, leaving us with a truly unsettling vision of a new world. By the end of this video, we'll peel back every layer of S-Line's haunting finale. We'll unmask the true mastermind behind the red lines, dissect her horrifying rebirth plot, and explain what that eerie, blood-red sky truly means for everyone. So, grab your metaphorical S-Line glasses, because we're about to see everything. Let's kick things off by talking about the true villain of our story, the enigmatic Eugene, and the central tool of her terror, the mysterious glasses. These weren't just fashionable accessories. They were the key to her chilling agenda. At first, these glasses were presented as almost a form of salvation. People were told they could cleanse themselves, find a new purpose, or even erase their pasts by using them. But the dark truth was far more sinister. The glasses allowed users to not only see the S-lines, but to sever them, and not through repentance or personal growth. Oh no, these lines were severed by committing murder. That's right. Gyu Jin's twisted form of atonement involved killing others to metaphorically erase your own sins. We saw this chillingly play out with the woman at the cafe. Her story is a prime example of Gyu Jin's manipulative genius. This woman was at her lowest point, driven to suicidal ideation by the public shame of her exposed S-line. Eugene didn't offer her therapy or support. Instead, she exploited that raw vulnerability, giving her the glasses and convincing her that her new purpose was to kill. Each victim meant one less red line above her head, one step closer to Eugene's perverse idea of purity. I should mention that killing the person you slept with removes their red line on your head. This reveals Eugene as far more than just a quirky teacher. She was the architect of a full-blown, cult-like movement, obsessed with a chilling concept of rebirth. And her powers weren't just persuasive words. She had a supernatural ability to deflect bullets, hinting at a deeper, almost unholy connection to the S-line phenomenon itself. The Room of Boundaries wasn't just a location. It was her ritualistic stage for this dark transformation. It forces us to ask, what kind of salvation involves murder? This is the core ethical dilemma that S-Line throws at us in its final moments. At the heart of Gyu Jin's grand, horrifying plan was Hyenhob. She wasn't just another character. She was the catalyst, the key to unlocking Gyu Jin's twisted vision for the entire world. Hyenhob's unique ability to see the S-lines from birth wasn't just a quirk. It was her destiny, and Gyu Jin knew it. While it brought Hyenhob isolation and confusion throughout her life, it also made her indispensable to Gyu Jin. The escalating tension around Hyenhob's 17th birthday wasn't just a plot device. It was Gyu Jin's meticulously planned deadline. This wasn't a celebration. It was the precise moment set for the rebirth ritual to begin. Gyu Jin orchestrated everything to lure Hyenhob in. Jun Seon's tragic death, which initially seemed like an accident, and the terrifying abduction of Hyenhob's friend were all calculated moves. They were designed to push Hyenhob, filled with fear and desperation, straight into the Room of Boundaries. The ultimate goal? Hyenhob's blood. Gyu Jin believed that Hyenhob's unique connection to the S-lines, inherent in her very being, was the essential ingredient to trigger the mass rebirth and make the S-lines visible to everyone on Earth. It was her horrific endgame, and Hyenhob was the unwitting, yet crucial, key. The climax of this plan comes with a shocking revelation from Hyenhob's mother. Her admission that she too had the glasses, protecting Hyenhob as she fell, suggests a deeper, almost generational link to this supernatural phenomenon. It wasn't just Hyenhob's unique ability. There was a lineage, a history, that made her the perfect, tragic center of Gyu Jin's scheme. Her mother's sacrifice, therefore, wasn't just an act of love, but a confirmation of Hyenhob's profound, almost cosmic, significance. When Hyenhob is finally stabbed by Eugene, something truly bizarre and terrifying happens. Her blood floats away in droplets. She then rises, lines bursting out of her, pulling her towards a mysterious red ball. This isn't just a wound. It's the moment the rebirth begins. The final, horrifying step of Gyu Jin's ritual, facilitated by Hyeon Heup's unique physiology. While Eugene was busy orchestrating her macabre rebirth, Detective Han Jiuk was on a frantic race against time, trying to unravel the mystery of the S-lines and protect those caught in its web. His journey throughout the series was deeply personal, especially his concern for CNA. The sheer injustice of her exposed, non-consensual S-line haunted him. It highlighted one of the show's darkest commentaries, how victims could be re-traumatized and branded by this public display, facing judgment rather than empathy. Han's desperation to help her underscored the moral core of his character in a world spiraling out of control. His detective instincts were sharp, leading him to crucial breakthroughs. He started putting the pieces together, how the victims were lured, the strange pattern of events. The chilling realization that Eugene doesn't exist as a real teacher, that her identity was a fabrication, was a vital clue. It revealed the vast network and the deceptive nature of her operation. But for Han, the fight became brutally personal with the shocking death of his father. Eugene, without hesitation, stabs Han's father right in front of him. This wasn't just a casualty. It was a brutal demonstration of Eugene's ruthlessness and the pervasive, inescapable reach of her influence. It also served to further personalize the stakes for Han, pushing him to his absolute limit. In the chaos of the climax, Han loses his glasses. This wasn't just a minor detail. It was symbolic. Losing his glasses meant he returned to a state of normal vision, unable to see the S-lines. But this return to normalcy for him immediately contrasts with the new, terrifying reality that the rest of the world is about to face. And that brings us to the chilling, unforgettable aftermath of S-line. Eugene's rebirth succeeded, and the world was forever changed. The most profound visual is the red night sky, followed by the terrifying realization. Everyone can now see everyone's S-lines. This is the show's ultimate, chilling commentary. Privacy is utterly annihilated. Every single sexual encounter, every connection, is now publicly displayed for all to see. It forces viewers to grapple with the extreme consequences of forced transparency, a world where judgment, rather than understanding, could run rampant. Amidst this chaos, we see CNA's rebirth. She awakens from her coma, seemingly without an S-line. On the surface, this feels like a positive outcome for her. She's free from the trauma that plagued her. But it begs a terrifying question. At what cost for everyone else? Is she truly reborn, or simply a recipient of Gyu Jin's twisted vision of purity? A single success amidst a global catastrophe? The new normal for society is disturbingly depicted on the subway. Everyone is now wearing masks and helmets to hide their faces in public, where everyone can see how many people they have slept with. How do people form relationships? How do they trust? How does mental health survive in a world where everyone's most intimate history is constantly displayed? It's a truly dystopian vision. And then, there's the haunting final note for our protagonists. Hyenhob is alone again. Despite her pivotal role in the rebirth, her unique ability and experiences set her apart from the newly transformed world. She visits Jun Seon's grave, a poignant reminder of the sacrifices made. But the final twist? Eugene is alive. She calls out to Hyenhob, confirming that the threat isn't over. Her rebirth was not an end, but merely the beginning of her new world order, or perhaps, a continuous, horrifying cycle of control. S-Line is far more than just a fantasy thriller. It's a stark, often uncomfortable, social commentary. At its core, it explores the brutal tension between privacy versus transparency. The show pushes us to consider the extreme consequences of a world without secrets. Is knowing everyone's past a path to enlightenment, or simply a highway to judgment, chaos, and societal breakdown? It also deeply confronts consent and victim blaming. The initial premise, where victims like one of the cases were branded by a non-consensual line, highlighted how easily society can turn on those who have been wronged. Does Gyu Jin's rebirth truly absolve this, or does it simply normalize the public judgment, forcing everyone into a state of perpetual exposure? The series also delves into the chilling nature of sin and purity. Gyu Jin's definition of cleansing through murder is a perverse twist on redemption. It forces us to question what truly constitutes purity or absolution in such a morally gray world. Finally, S-line serves as a powerful illustration of cults and manipulation. It shows the insidious ways that charismatic, yet deeply disturbed, leaders can exploit human vulnerabilities and desires, whether it's the desire for acceptance, absolution, or a fresh start, to recruit followers into their twisted narratives. So, is S-line's ending a happy one? Absolutely not. It's a terrifyingly ambiguous finale. While characters like CNA experience a personal form of rebirth, society as a whole is plunged into a new, potentially dystopian reality where everyone is exposed. The ending leaves us with a lingering sense of unease, a world transformed, but not necessarily for the better. I came into S-line with high hopes. I truly did. The premise promised a surgical dissection of modern society's pathological obsession with secrets and sexuality, stripped bare by a supernatural reveal. And for the first 5 episodes, S-line delivered. It was a razor-sharp, genuinely disturbing social experiment, each installment feeling like a tight, thematic short film, twisting the knife into our collective anxieties about judgment and exposure. We were introduced to Hyeon Heup, a character genuinely burdened, cursed from birth with the grotesque ability to see the S-lines, those bright, glowing crimson cords of sexual history tethering everyone around her. Her isolation and trauma were palpable, building a quiet, existential horror around knowledge she never asked for, yet couldn't escape. Then, the insidious glasses arrived, democratizing her nightmare, forcing everyone to confront the visual evidence of their messy, tangled pasts. All hell predictably broke loose. But even then, questions festered. Gyu carried hundreds of red lines above his own head, a silent testament to a hidden past that the show never bothered to explain. Was he, perhaps, unknowingly entangled in the very origins of the S-line phenomenon? We were denied any satisfying answer. Instead of confronting these tantalizing mysteries, the writers decided the most logical path was to derail the entire narrative in episode 6. What we got in the finale wasn't a resolution. It was a metaphysical fever dream. We were unceremoniously shoved into an alternate reality where Eugene, the eerie, omnipresent girl, suddenly transformed into a godlike harbinger, unilaterally deciding humanity must see the truth through her crimson-tinted, psychotic lens. She unleashes this forced vision globally, mutating her personal curse into humanity's shared, inescapable burden. Now, everyone is reduced to wearing visors, helmets, and glasses, desperately trying to avoid seeing the very lines that now define them, effectively becoming what Hyeon Heup was all her life. Perpetually hidden, utterly terrified, and irrevocably numb. Gyu's carefully constructed arc, if I'm being kind, which I am, it didn't just shatter. It exploded into incoherent fragments. The utterly horrifying revelation that his own father sexually abused the niece he was raising should have been a devastating blow, demanding profound emotional fallout and psychological reckoning. Instead, it was casually shoved aside, sacrificed at the altar of a visually cool but narratively bankrupt rooftop confrontation where time and space hilariously collapse, and Hyeon Heup and Gyu inexplicably wander through multiple realities. Why? Because vibes apparently trump logic. Eugene achieves some mythic status, but without any actual character development, her ascent feels utterly empty. It screams of writers who ran out of time, budget, or perhaps any coherent ideas. What infuriates me most about S-line is the monumental wasted potential. They had every single ingredient for a groundbreaking, thought-provoking thriller, potent visual symbolism, rich moral ambiguity, and genuinely layered characters. But when it came to the crunch, they chose hollow spectacle over meaningful resolution. The origin of the glasses? A shrug. Why Hyeon Heup's mother killed herself? A fleeting, unsatisfying whisper. Why Gyu had hundreds of lines? Who cares? And who, for the love of God, even is Eugene? We're left not with answers, but with a lingering sense of betrayal, as a brilliant premise dissolved into a baffling, infuriating mess. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into K-dramas, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.